Friday. I'm sure a lot of you, especially the 4 and 5-year-olds, are maybe recognizing where I am. I'm in Miss Sandy's room, right? Being in this room sure makes me miss you guys. I wish you were all in here with me, sitting around the table. I can't wait to see all of you and catch up with you, and I just miss your faces in general. So I thought it would be fun to do the next Moses lesson in Miss Sandy's room, a place where we've learned lots of Bible stories, right? We've heard and learned a lot of really neat stories in this room, haven't we, guys? We have a lot of good memories in here with all of our friends. And so I know we have been talking about Moses for probably a month and a half now. And the reason that we did that is because Moses' life is so action-packed. But the main reason that we've been talking about Moses is because Moses is really good at teaching us how to trust God, isn't he? And now Moses and the Hebrews are in the desert, and honestly, they are in the desert for a really long time. There's a lot of things that go on, and I think that I would have to make about 50 more Moses videos to cover all of it. And there's other things that we need to talk about. So from now on, the Moses videos are going to be what I call the desert highlight reel, which means we're just going to cover some of the main things that happen while they're in the desert. Now, something that you're probably noticing about Moses already is Moses' relationship with God, right? Moses talks to God all the time. He prays to God a lot, and God talks back to him, doesn't he? God tells him what to do. God works miracles through Moses. God gives Moses instructions to tell the rest of the Hebrews. And today we're going to talk about a really well-known story where Moses goes to talk to God on top of a mountain. Remember the first time Moses talked to God, he was on a mountain when God came to Moses in that burning bush. And today Moses is going up to the mountain, and while he's there, God gives him the 10 Commandments. And I know we've all heard the 10 Commandments before, right? Today we're going to focus on that. Moses goes up to the mountain to talk to God, and God gives him these instructions, these commandments for Moses to relay to the rest of the Hebrews, some rules for their everyday lives. So I'm just going to go ahead and read them now. And you guys probably remember that when Moses came back down, he had them written on stone tablets. And when I was little, I always thought that sounded so cool, these big pieces of stone with the commandments like chiseled into them. And so I'm going to go ahead and give you guys the 10 Commandments. These are what the tablet said when Moses came down from the mountain. First commandment said, I am the Lord your God. You must not worship other gods. Commandment number 2, you must not make any idols. Commandment number 3, you must not use the name of the Lord your God wrongly. Commandment 4, remember the Sabbath day and keep it holy. Sunday is God's day and we have to keep it special. Commandment number 5, respect your father and your mother. One of the most important commandments for kids right there, right guys? We need to listen to our moms and dads. Commandment number 6, you must not murder. Probably not a huge problem for you guys right now, right? Jesus took this commandment a little further by saying not only should you not murder people, but you shouldn't hate people either. Commandment 7, you must be loyal to your husband or wife. Commandment 8, you must not steal. Can't take it if it's not yours, can you? Commandment 9, you must not lie. It sounds so simple, right? But that one can be one of the hardest ones. And I am not just talking about for kids. That is for everyone. And the last commandment, you must not be jealous of other people's possessions. Another hard one, right? It's so hard when somebody has something that you really want to not be a little bit jealous, right? But that's a commandment, to not be envious of what other people have. It's so that we can be grateful for what we do have. And I know you guys have heard the 10 Commandments before, but I bet if I asked you to list them right now, it would be hard for you to remember. That would even be kind of hard for me just to list them off like that. So right now I'm going to show you guys a different way to remember the 10 Commandments, and it's really fun and it's actually really delicious. All right guys, so we've all heard of the 10 Commandments before, right? And we just heard the story of how Moses brought the 10 Commandments down from the mountain on the tablets, instructions from God on how to live our lives, right? And I'm sure you're noticing this pile of awesomeness in front of me. Look at all these donuts. What does that have to do with the 10 Commandments, right? Well guys, I just recently was taught a way to remember the 10 Commandments using donuts. So I'm going to teach you guys now. I wish we could learn everything through donuts, don't you? Here's how to remember the 10 Commandments using donuts. All right, guys, first, your favorite donut. Nothing in the world is as good as your favorite one, right? Nothing can touch your favorite donut. And that's how we're going to remember the very first commandment, okay? Have no other gods before me. Just like no other donut is as good as your favorite donut, God says, have no other gods before me. All right, now what do we got going on here? This is not a donut. This is a peanut butter cookie with a hole out of the middle. It's a false donut, and that's just like God's second commandment. Don't worship false gods. All right, next we have a cruller. Has a really unique name, right? When you order one, everyone knows what you're talking about. So that's like command number 3. Don't use God's name in any other way except when you're talking about God. Don't use God's name in vain. And honestly, nothing goes together like donuts and Sunday morning, right? It's something special having a donut Sunday morning, maybe before church, maybe when you get here. And that's just like God's 4th commandment. Keep the Sabbath day holy. Sunday is a special day for church, and he says keep it holy. All right, guys, and now we have 2 identical donuts. Think of them as mom and dad, right? Mom and dad can give you donuts and they can take away donuts. They're the boss of the donuts, right? And that's what the 5th commandment is. God says, honor your father and your mother. All right, guys, next, everybody's favorite, sprinkles. God's 6th commandment says to not murder anyone, but Jesus sprinkled a little extra on that commandment by saying not only should you not murder someone, you should not have hatred in your heart for anyone. All right, guys, next we've got this sad half-eaten donut. What if a friend of yours told you he was going to bring you a donut, then when he gets there, he's already eaten half of it, right? God's next commandment says don't commit adultery, and God's talking about married people, but it also means that we need to keep the promises that we made. Donuts are delicious, right? But you can't have all you want. You gotta pay for them first. You would never take a donut without paying for it, right? And that's God's next commandment. Don't steal. All right, here we got a jelly-filled donut and a cream-filled donut. Now, you can't give someone a cream-filled donut and tell them that it's gonna be a jelly donut, just like God's next commandment. Don't lie. And guys, sometimes we have a really good donut, but then we see someone else who has a bigger, better, sweeter donut. And maybe now that we've seen their awesome donut, we wish we had it. But that is God's last commandment. Don't want what other people have. Be grateful for what you have. All right, everybody, I hope that these donuts can help us remember the 10 commandments that God gave us, that God gave to Moses when he showed him to the Hebrews in the desert. They're very important rules for our lives, aren't they? And thank you for listening to the Moses lesson. I wish donuts could teach us all the lessons, right? That was super fun. I can't wait till we're back in this classroom together, and I can't wait until we're eating donuts again together. But until then, I will see you guys Sunday for our Sunday morning lesson, for our next lesson on diving in and exploring the Bible. See you guys later. Bye.